Have you ever thought of a mortgage as an investment? Well, with the lower interest rates that we've seen people lock in mortgages for in the last 5 years or so, it's really created an opportunity that you can actually leverage your mortgage and make money off of it, considering that interest rates are so high right now, where you can get protected vehicles, take no risk, and still outperform what a mortgage rate could be. And so that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. So if you know Dave Ramsey, you know that Dave Ramsey probably won't like what I have to say today. And that's fine. You know, he has his opinions. He has his way of planning. He's not technically licensed. He's more of just out there to produce content and really just be pretty bold in what he says. Now, I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan when it comes to debt management. I think he's about as good as it gets when it comes to motivating and encouraging people to pay off debt. I don't necessarily agree with the way he recommends to pay off debt. You know, he recommends a snowball, which, you know, it encourages people. It touches on the behavioral side, so I get that. But I'm a numbers guy. I like to make sure that we can maximize and make the best decisions. The people we work with are typically pretty smart. They're pretty educated. They want to know what's the best way financially. What's the math say? What's the logic say of what's going to make sense here? We're not really looking at emotions, and we want to maximize. And so what we're going to talk about today is that maximization, part here of how can we make sure that we can, make the right decision. Because as Dave Ramsey says, hey, you should pay off your mortgage. You shouldn't have any debt. Debt is bad. Well, I agree that high interest debt is bad, but low interest debt, when leveraged the right way in a smart way, because if you needed to pay off that debt, you could just pay that off. And if you've got, a diligent saver and you've got more saved up, then you may be able to make that payment moving forward without any issues. I think it can make a lot of sense to keep a mortgage, especially at the low rates that people have locked them in at. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. And so we actually just went through an example with one of our clients where they had a $750,000 loan on their home. And they had it at a 3.25% interest rate, which is extremely good. We have clients that even have as low as 2% from refinancing a few years back. But for 3.25% on $750,000, that's pretty good. And so we're going to walk through what the numbers are and what we ended up recommending them to do and how much savings they're going to be able to have and how much more they're going to be able to have just by these simple metrics here that we're going to talk through. And so if you look at what a 3% return or rate is on $750,000, that's about $23,000 of interest that they're going to have to pay each year. Now, again, Dave Ramsey does not like that. We don't want to pay interest. Why are we paying interest? Well, what if we took this $750,000 and we invested it in a protected vehicle where interest rates are so high right now? And let's just say we got 5%, or let's just say 5.75% is what we got. Well, if we got 5.75% return on a protected vehicle right now, that's going to get us about $45,000 of interest. So again, I'm a math guy. So would you rather see a $45,000 gain or a $23,000 gain with that $750,000, right? So the idea that if we can leverage this $750,000 and we can get this $45,000 gain, well, that's going to be more than the interest that we're accruing from borrowing the mortgage of $23,000. We're actually going to earn $22,000 in that first year. And just because we're getting a higher return than what the bank's giving it to us for. And again, they're basically giving us free money is ultimately the way that you look at this. Now, if interest rates are lower than 3%, for example, and you can go to the bank and you can't get a 5.75% return, am I going to recommend this strategy? Well, I still may, but it may mean you take more risk. You'd have to invest in the stock market versus protected. So if you're more conservative, maybe not. But if you are, very conservative, you can still do this type of strategy with the interest rates where they are and be in a good place. And then understand, hey, if you do want to pay off the mortgage in a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, well, all you got to do is take all these earnings that you had and pay it off, and you're in the same spot, right? And so the idea is just to use that difference in the alpha of the interest rates right now to put yourself in a better position. And so he had about 13 years left on his mortgage. And so if we're going to be able to see about $20,000 a year of interest over our mortgage interest, then that's going to be, over 10 years, that's $200,000. Around $200,000 is what we could see in added amounts in our investment account from added growth above the interest that we just went through that calculation of. So that's one of the advantages of why would we pay this off, right? Especially with interest rates where they are. But the other consideration here comes to the fact of tax deductions. And so if you are paying mortgage interest of $23,000 a year, well, you're going to be able to itemize your deductions on top of your charitable, on top of your state and local tax, on top of any other itemized deductions that you have, which is going to well put you above that standard deduction. And so in this case, they are in about the 35% tax bracket. They live in Florida. There's no state tax. If you do have state tax on top of that, could be even more that you could save, right? But for them, 35% savings on about $25,000 a year tax deduction, that's close to $9,000, $10,000 that they're going to be able to save just on their taxes each year. And if that's over 13 years, there's another $100,000 that they're saving just from tax planning by utilizing that mortgage interest on their plan there. And so, that's $300,000 of savings for quick math of just simply going through the hassle of having a mortgage and making that mortgage payment over the years. And again, a lot of people say, hey, I want to pay off my mortgage to give me peace of mind. And that's fine. And again, you don't have to follow my approach here or follow my recommendation. If you want to have debt free and you want to pay off the house, that makes you feel better, go for it. As long as all your other goals are met, go for it. I just don't know why you'd want to do that if you can make another $300,000 just by simply having a mortgage and making the payment every month and making it automated and go on from there. So if you're truly a diligent saver and you want to maximize things, then I think this is a really good way to do that. But again, it's your plan, it's your money. You've got to make the decision that you want. And we always do that with our clients. We always show them, hey, here's what we feel is best. But if this client came to us and said, hey, I want to pay this off, and we're going to tell them, look, you got enough saved up, you've done the right work. If that makes you feel better, go do it. If you're okay not maximizing it to do that, that's totally fine. Our job is just to show you that, hey, here's the most optimal thing to do to make the numbers work in the best way. So many different ways to look at this. Again, Dave Ramsey probably won't like this. Again, I want to make sure I'm very clear. I am a fan of Dave Ramsey. I just don't necessarily think he's the best for those who have been diligent savers. He doesn't really specialize in helping those with wealth. He helps those who are not doing as well to make sure they get on the right track. So just understand we're talking about two totally different conversations here, and just make sure you don't get confused of who you truly are and what kind of help do you truly need is ultimately what you should be looking at there. So hopefully this video is a helpful one. I hope it's a fun one for you. And if you're a numbers person, you're going to love it. And also if you're looking to maximize things, I think you're going to enjoy it here as well. And so with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Hope you enjoyed the video today. As an avid viewer of this YouTube channel, we would like to offer you a free copy of our new book that just came out called I Hate Taxes. So if you would like a free copy of this, then go ahead in the description below. You'll be able to click on a link to get that free copy of this new book, I Hate Taxes.